See if I can just start up the stream.
My sister keeps sending me stuff from
Very
Harvest Moon from, or no, it's Animal Crossing
Oop,
on
that
Nintendo
name it right.
Switch. I don't know what people see in Animal Crossing. Like the game just keeps going on forever.
Got the change the title before I started it, but let's see if I
I'll just turn on my fan here. I do that so whenever the phone starts heating up, I don't want to actually melt this phone too.
see if I can
There we
find
go.
my own live stream.
As long as the fan, what do you call it? The wind doesn't catch on the mic.
Okay, so title it up there. Good. So if
Yeah,
you
the other phone the other phone I had, the battery actually expanded in it and pushed the screen right out of the phone.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, it physically pulled itself and blew up. So, yeah, I was without internet for a few months. And then one of my mom's friends said that they were getting rid of this phone. So it's like they sent it. It took almost a month to get here because of the virus thing.
So
And
I
then when I got it, it was locked. So it's like, oh, I had to go and get the thing unlocked.
so I started the live stream on YouTube if you
Okay, let's
haven't seen
go
it.
on there.
Otherwise
Let's
I'll have
see.
to copy and paste the link to you.
Showing off rigs. Okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna wait until it comes up. We'll see how it affects the voice. Okay, flip screen. Okay. Okay, all right. I see a little tiny character on the very bottom.
We're gonna might as well open up just showing my rec stream first on how he's rigged up.
Yeah, it's hard to see because I'm trying to sort of squint my eyes on a very tiny little avatar on the very bottom.
Yeah. This kind of working, but where like I'm actually adding this big fluffy tail for a
Oh
version
yeah.
version to do a fox, which I made it so there's this blend shape that you can control how much fluff you want to have.
Are the ears any bigger?
Ears are, yeah, that's
Ears are
how,
like a rabbit's.
yeah. Which if you grabbed these, you could grab these bones.
Oh, really? Are they all individuals? Or is it just one piece?
Me apparently there's some rigs that I work with where you have to make this really tiny to actually see the character, otherwise the bones just cover the character. But but yeah, there's like four bones along the ear here.
Okay, so they're all linked up like sort of like a stem attached to another one.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would flex, they go back, they would go up, they would whatever. Yeah, I can see the little joints like one, two, three. Yeah.
And it really doesn't need these controls. It's just like when I use a advanced skeleton thing that generates these controls uh on how I rig them in Maya, but I export them with like the bones, and it's really all you need is these bones that are bound to the skin.
So it only goes so far in um like one way. You won't, like you can't do like something really stupid like bend the back the other way and it would just like it would fold up in half. Like you had restrictions to it, eh?
N Not really, because like I could do that to but uh, it's what's it?
It all depends on the body tracking.
Yeah, like with them being rigged to like game, like I'm rigging them to in Unity the humanoid IK,
Oh, okay.
and it's just however that's generated in Unity to move the your character with the rigged bones. It's basically you're putting another rig on top of this character to control where the bones rotate.
Ah, I see. It's just that I've seen cases where people are in VR chat and all of a sudden something quirky goes on and all of a sudden they're folding themselves up in a whole ball.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's likely to be like their tracker lost tracking, like their cameras that look at those where the position is.
They
Probably
should
got
go. They should just go back to a T pose if something like that was going to happen.
it. No, it's just sometimes it glitches. Like, but if you have possibly a reflective thing or like something like if your arm obscured it or or sometimes it just some interference happens.
So I see this one has digigrade legs. Does the
Yeah,
legs like can the actual toes wiggle, or are they just moldedly and
yeah.
permanently
The
shaped
trick
like that?
did with these digigrades is if you notice, there's no bones going to the ankles.
Okay, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's still rigged as like human proportion because your flat feet are just right along down here,
Yeah.
and
So
so
if you sit, the feet is still going to be bent.
yeah, this ankle's I get it still pretty straight. So like it and I guess like it, try to find like a in between where it's like bent enough that it looks like a good relaxed position, but then straight enough that doesn't look weird when you're like standing.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like when I sit
Or
down, it
say yeah, like say if you sit down, like on a flat thing, the toes would go up straight rather than just stay like that, right?
yeah. Let me quickly find like a good uh, picture just to show you.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Yeah, remember that. Yeah, I do have chat on. I'm just doing
Or
like this quick stream.
you're in another program as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring something up and then I can switch on. Like right now, I have it just capturing Maya,
Yeah.
just so I can have other things up here and not like accidentally show something.
Yeah.
But it'd be like easy once I like put this in front of the screen that I want, uh, and then I can just reveal screen. But here's a picture I got in VR chat where it kind of shows how I'd like probably look sitting. Maybe I think a few just got
So
here
I
we go.
guess the default one is gray, and then I guess whoever want them, they just color them up to what they want, or do you have to provide different colors?
Oh, for the different texture things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just show like in our Discord. Mrs. Pepper did a nice picture here, and And I'm wearing this cute cheetah skin that someone that I commissioned someone else to make for me. Karai Kitsune, and it is a little dark. Let me see if I can find a better one. What was it, a little bit of a dark one? Yeah, that one's easier to see. See, my legs are just kind of stray along there.
Yeah, it's hard to see because um, well, it's only about a picture about maybe 2 inches wide.
Now, let me copy the link and send you the link. Then you can like easily see it.
Switch. It's probably gonna shut YouTube down, but okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can.
You'd at least be able to
Okay,
always hear me.
let's zoom in here. Oh yes, I see. Yeah, that's actually really good. Yeah,
It actually, I think it looks really
that looks
natural.
realistic, actually.
Yeah, it looks I think pretty natural and like comfy kind of looking.
Yeah,
Uh,
his Shiba doesn't even do that.
yeah, with PikeyPetey Shiba, he which I could like get to that soon here. Guess going over like little things on this guy where I was making a this was I was in the middle of making a blend shape here to make the tail do this, and
Hmm.
it probably looks weird that like there's this tail like right in the along the feathery skinny tail under here, but when I export it out, I can select what meshes I want and pretty much make a FBX with like I'll make some that like are even missing the feathers, which I I'm thinking of also splitting this up to like having the head and then back, so you can like
So whenever you're done with an object like that, how big is the file? Is it like uh 10, 11 megs or something like that?
the FBX when I get it in Unity is only like 6 MB or something.
Okay, and that's just one mesh, right?
Yeah, it turns it. I turn it using like I actually port this through Blender to do like more optimized setup things that are work for VR chat.
Okay.
But
So it downgrades it a bit, or is it try to keep it
it like
as
it
detailed?
it throws it into like one mesh and pretty much combines certain things and uh it even does like oh it does something to like the hips here to make it so it works for like full body too. I use like
Oh
this full
yeah.
body fix thing. Otherwise, it snaps in very weird, and your character like pops down, or the hips twist in such a 90 degrees weird way. And
And can you actually add clothes to it, or do you have to actually put that on the mesh?
I would have to rig clothing and or
Oh wow.
if you're wearing like very tight clothing, you could like just try to texture on it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'd have to like model out clothing and then ideally to keep like optimized with that is you delete mesh underneath the body, and I haven't found like easy way to do that because Maya is very picky or finicky with stuff like that. With
Yeah, it explains why a lot of people don't wear clothing in VR chat. I've only seen like one or two little things in it,
well
like
it
baseball caps or something like that.
it can be for, yeah there's several things I'm sure of that. It's for one like probably like not everyone would know how to mod, and the first thing you usually do to creating a character is it's best make the whole just basic body,
Yeah.
and then the person needs to know how to like rig a whole nother mesh and stuff to add clothing like that, and then it's like with me I feel like I'm I don't think I'm very good at making clothing. I haven't done it that often. Like
I think I tried once or twice on Second Life. When I made clothing, it wasn't like the standard clothing. It was primitives and all that, and then I had to put it onto the actual thing. So it was more of an overlay than more than anything else.
yeah, the latest rig I have on this, like, which is like the highest one, is just 5.22 megabytes.
Hmm. I
So
think your raccoon character has clothing, so
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
that's one of the few. Like, and then all the guys that animate, like, but then again, I styled into like very simple like clothing where they're like nearly one color.
yeah.
Like I made like just simple, and I seen people made clothing like I know someone in VR chat that makes it look like it's realistic clothing, like it's textured that good and stuff.
Oh yeah, he must have like some kind of a special, well, not a special camera, but he probably macro. Uh,
Well,
oh,
it
what is that? Like he uses the macro camera, so he would get every little stitch. You know what I mean?
it's uh I I think he's like on who I'm thinking like someone called Rantis, by the way. Uses substance to texture out, like if you know the substance painter.
Oh yes,
And,
that's well, I use something similar on another program. I used to call it materials. And what one time I just did a fast test, a simple blanket, and I took my own blanket, like the fuzzy blankets, and I used the macro thing on my phone to take a picture of it in very very close up and high detail, and then I made the texture repeat. So when I did that and I added it, took a little bit to render, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow. It's like it looks like my real blanket.
yeah, I'm gonna actually open up the FBX because I was going to show the blend shapes, but because he's in pieces, I would have to like grab each piece and put on the same blend shape, and
Okay.
also figure out some.
That's the fun thing when you have Discord on a computer. You can actually flip screens really easily. On a phone, it's hard.
Yeah,
You have to press home twice, and then you get the multitasker up, and then you have to flip through screens, and all of a sudden it'll throw the other screen and it will disable it. And I'm going like, oh no, I have to press play on YouTube again. Do you still put the color palettes inside of the heads?
the what?
Oh, you used to put color palettes inside of the heads. I remember. I think you did that on. Oh, I don't know if it was Raccoon. I think it was another one that you were doing at one time.
What the
Um, you were doing an avatar for somebody, and then you put all like the test patterns and all that inside of the head to sort of keep a record of it.
well, way back in Second Life?
No, it was through this. I think it was like your first or second avatar in here. This was back in. Let me think. I think it was last summer. I think.
I can't. I don't even. Yeah, I don't know what you're about.
Yeah, you used to put like the color of the eyes and everything like that inside of. I don't know if it was the head or a body. It was a texture you just planted inside of the model.
The only thing I remember possibly doing something like that was way back Second Life to like preload. Are you meaning like about the credits on like on?
Yeah, it would say it was made by you, and then it would
Oh
take the
yeah,
color.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's credit. Yeah, I do that in Unity. I put like creator and stuff inside the
yeah,
character.
and then it had a little color palette showing the color of the actual.
I think
Uh,
that sounds like depends on like if uh if they had a reference on doing that, because like I know I think yeah like the
I think they did have a
otter,
reference.
yeah, for the otter, so like I think had that. I just
Mm.
put that in there. It wasn't to like keep the colors scheme or something like that. It just was the easier and nicer way to show.
Yeah, me. Sometimes I just keep everything either written down or if I um, if I was doing it professionally, I would print it out.
Just wanted to open this guy up. Sounds like there's some wind in your mic.
Yeah, it's the fan. Let's see. Do you hear it now?
No.
Okay, I'm just covering the mic. I'm blowing the fan on the phone because having all the stuff like that heats it up. So this keeps it cool.
Oh yeah. Why did what's going on here?
And what's really strange is that this is the same model that what the other one blew up. It has the same. They claim that they all have the same problem with their batteries.
Uh,
Stupid Apple. Ugh.
Need to look into not having their batteries do that then.
Yeah, it's the iPhone 5S. All of them seem to have some kind of battery issue. But all the models after that, they claim there's not. There's no issue. It's like I just have like I know a simple fix. It's called just don't buy Apple.
Yeah, some weird reason.
Everyone seems to be giving me their garbage.
I'm gonna have to throw on a plain texture because it's. Why is it doing
Now, if
that
I
to
had
this
a,
mesh?
if I had a stable internet, well, then I'd have to get VR, and you need a system. I don't know how hefty of a system you need to run that. Probably a really big computer.
You want something that like I think does like a lot of GPU and C. Yeah, basically a good big computer.
I know my laptop can run Second Life, but I don't know. I don't know VR. I know mine's equipped with it because it does have a virtual reality switch on the GPU, and it has ports on the side for certain stuff. But I don't know if it would handle that. Or not Second Life, but Skyrim is way more detailed than the VR. But then I don't know um, how many polygons these meshes have, and then if you have a lot of people on the screen, you would start slowing down, right?
There's a test you can do to see how well your computer handles VR or Steam
Yeah.
VR. Is you, you
Benchmark.
yeah you, in Steam there's a Steam VR test thing or so. Yeah, I forget what it's called. Like, I wonder if I still have it on my thing.
Don't know if it would work because I'd have to first tether this phone to the laptop and hope to God it Steam works on my old Windows 7. Um, I don't know if it even worked with it because it's been last time it's been updated or whatever was back in 2013. So can you imagine how much updates there's available for it?
Yeah.
And Windows 7 is not supported anymore. So it's like, so how many
Yeah, this
polygons does that actually that one image have? I know it's a mesh, but it should go by individual polygons.
um I find it's with the triangles that it basically considers polygons.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's over
because
64,000.
Yeah, because you see, like the grid, right? Like each little square would be counted as a polygon shade on it,
I'm having
because
trouble with.
the light still has to hit it, and it calculates the light and reflection, or if it has any.
I I
Um,
I tried to. I was trying to put silly plain shader, and it's just not attaching anything to it. So, can
hmm.
I? I'll try one more thing. I want to make one more.
Let's turn the fan off. That's all right.
There, I got it. I don't want to have to use a grid line to show his blend shapes, but you get so he. So this is like right now one mesh. This is just the FBX that I opened up,
Yeah.
and it has each of these blend shapes that pretty much just tell the vertices to move to a specific spot.
Hmm.
And the these when I bring it through Blender, it just shuffles all these blend shapes. So like always stuck with having them just all over the place
So
like
how
this.
long did it take to make it from scratch? Like I know you have to mold and model it and everything like
It's
that.
really hard for me to tell how much time it would spend from scratch because all my models is kind of made from another model.
Oh, okay, you template stuff.
Yeah, so I just grab like a previous avatar or something, modify him a
Hmm.
lot, and shape him to what I want, and then so I've been like just slowly proving them that way, or uh,
Yeah, that's an easy way. Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
but for like Visemes, you see like where it has two letters or so, like there's 15 different blend shapes for the Visemes, but then this guy
Hmm.
also has like all these other ones that change the shape, and like I have like this one to like fill up his belly.
Oh yeah.
But and then this one to like add muscle to him.
Okay, so you can actually change their appearance a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's someone in there that just
You can make them fatter or skinny or
yeah.
male or female or something like that. It's like, yeah, it's just a whole bunch of sliders. So therefore, you can just make a whole bunch of different ones. It's just like a random face maker in other programs.
Yeah. Which yeah, someone uses like the muscle one and like beef it out like a lot. With I think he turns on all these muscle ones and he just looks like a very thick muscle guy. And then for the muscles like there's a blend shape I actually made from high res where I sculpted the muscles, detail muscles.
so did you port this into VR chat yet, or it's still in the works?
It no, it's in VR chat. Like the what I was showing, like some of the pictures. It's like being sold, and I what I'm doing is I'm going to do like an update. But like the last video that I was in YouTube was the animation I'm working for commission. That
Yeah, I remember with the riding one, right?
I was planning to get to that more this week, but I guess other things came, a bunch of other stuff like distracted me from doing that.
Uh,
Like there like I did like an animation like for I think he finally saying he's like going to try to release that game that I've been working with uh next month here.
oh, okay, so they're still working on it. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, we've been passing our due dates that that was planned, and like
I thought the virus would have actually canceled it, but it's like I know here they all the viruses closed everything down, so people have to work from home. So
oh
you know,
with that game, yeah, I was working remotely for that, so uh yeah, that wouldn't have affected anything
which is
working.
good. You just have to send the models. That's all.
well, I send out animations. I did. I didn't do any of like the modeling or rigging for that project. I've been just animating the characters.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why whenever I was in the Second Life, the only thing that I actually did well was actually like objects, worlds, trees, stuff. You know, anything that was inanimate at that time. Like I say, remember I was known for my you know, like the high textures I used to put on the stuff. Remember the furniture?
oh yeah,
Yeah, I used to get high definition textures, and then I just throw it on. It's like, wow, look at that Victorian furniture. You know, it's like looks real. Yeah, I use tricks and all of that to keep the primitives down for the everything to load. So it's like a big object like that. Remember, it took oh, what was it? I did a cabinet, and it was only like what two prims or something like that, and it looked like a real cabinet with individual legs and stuff. And it's like, remember when I did the table with a vase on it, one primitive?
yeah.
It was a sculpted thing that I was testing out.
I wonder on doing a change for this and like pulling back this throat, going like that, get like deep
Wait,
hole.
making the neck thicker or thinner?
Well, getting it so like it looks like it has a throat, not like.
Oh, I see.
But at this point, it would be easier to just create a blend shape to do that than.
Do you use the same teeth set for a lot of the other ones?
Yeah, I've been kind of using these teeth a lot of times. Like, I think I edit them at times and uh, m- move them around a little bit depending on like animal. Like with my mouse character, I've of course sized the front ones to be like big front teeth and then he doesn't have like things like that.
Mm.
So it depends on like the animal that I was making that I changed the teeth
Some
around.
people, yeah, some people actually do. Like say longer canines or shorter canines. I guess it depends.
It
They
depends.
sort of yeah. As I've seen people do different types. Like others, they had the mouth closed, but then they'd see the canine teeth always sticking out. You know, because they've done them too big. Unless that's the way the character was, but you know what I mean?
And what I try to follow like because if you like look at depending on the animal and like what the animal eats is how their teeth are like
Yeah.
because it's how they're created for. Uh,
There was one in the past that did a furry avatar, and they actually went as far as even doing a physical skull for it. And I'm going like, wow, it's like, you know, like the amount of detail that went into that. It's like, jeez.
oh yeah,
Like I
yeah,
mean, when they went below, you could actually see they actually designed. They took it from like a wolf or whatever skull, and you can actually see the individual skull there.
yeah. Like when you're trying to go realistic, then it's like you're trying to redesign how like actual nature is.
Yeah, but then when you start putting actual fur on it, oh, that is going to make the polygon jump
Yeah,
way out of the roof.
there's game ways to deal with like trying to do fur. Like there's like fur shaders or so, but even that it's a little higher
Don't do
performance.
flexibles because you know what happens with flexibles.
What do you mean flexibles?
It looks like fur, but they're on strips, and then you just put it all over the character, and then you set it transparent, and then it would look like fur, but when you walk it waves. So the problem is with that is that it's almost like having a bunch of like thousands and thousands of ribbons on your character, and when you walk, you can see the fur like waving around. but then it's trying to render everything all at once like that.
Oh yeah,
Every time you walk, you would lag everybody else.
yeah. They're the things that I seen that for one, I wonder just like how do they even like get so it like looks nice because you're dealing with like a carpet looking shader and trying to make it look like actual fur.
I
Uh,
made that in TrueSpace actually. I had
yeah.
a grid as a 128 by 128, and you can pick its height. You can either use it as grass or fur, depending. If you put a texture, if I used to put a 3 or 4 textures on one fur strand. It would start off like sort of like a light and go darker towards the tip. So when you do that, and then you shade the like render the whole thing. Oh, it looks real. But the problem is whenever it walks, this stuff moves. It's all movable and flexible. So you need a really powerful machine, or you'd have to render every frame. If you put it in VR chat, it wouldn't handle that because and then it would be if it was like actual realistic, like sort of like have you seen the movie
Well, it,
Chronicles of Narnia?
yeah, like
Yeah, you know the texture of the line when you see his mane moving around. That's what it does.
oh yeah, yeah, like I'm saying, like to do it in a game, you need like a shader, like for one, I don't know if you can even put that in Unity, and then secondly, like if it's like a complex scripting dynamic mesh thing or so that the game won't even let you download it, upload it into
Yeah.
it. So, but
Yeah, it would probably have like both of them will probably
yeah,
it'll probably error
like
out and it'll say stack overload or something.
like I'm saying, like the closest thing you could do, like for VR chat, is there is a shader to make it look like fur. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's like a customize. It's like a custom shader, and again, it's like higher performance than like perhaps like other shaders that, and it's like static fur. That's like I think what I heard how it works is it's like basically it does a color and it like layers on top it like so many several a bunch of times, and it like
Yeah, wouldn't that actually use more CPU power rather than just putting a plain texture on it?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's higher perform. I guess what's the word? Not optimized. It's not very
Okay, yeah.
optimized. It you you make people run slower if they stare really close into you and like and see it.
Yeah, well, yeah, the bigger it is, like the more you zoom in, the polygons get bigger, and then it shows more detail, and of course you
Yeah.
lag out.
And and it's and yeah, and that for and game for unless you probably could find some like fancy scripting to do it to like move the shader or something, but I never seen any game for like move around like that.
Yeah, well, I've just tested it on TrueSpace, so I've done it in the past, but I've never tested it for anything like Blender or anything like. I don't even know if it would handle that. I don't even know if I can export it to that. I can. I guess I can try to export something like that. Um, I know I can export several formats on TrueSpace. It's compatible with Lightwave. Um, 3D Studio Max is also compatible with that, so I guess I could probably even do that and then try and see if I can port it into Blender. I don't know what kind of formats Blender actually accepts in. 3ds Max, I guess it could actually. I think Blender actually has a. You can actually port in from 3ds Max. Um, I don't know if it would actually accept the true space model in raw. I'd actually have to test that.
See if I can find this here. Here we go. I was looking for, so I might as well like move to here. So here's the Shiba that you were talking about, PikeyPetey Shiba. What is this?
Have you ever tried putting it on your what do you call it on the VR chat to test out the expressions and everything?
Well, yeah, that's pretty much as far as like I actually looked at it was like how he did the blend shapes. And when you see in game, it looks uh very good. Like I guess like it's kind of I probably had an idea that maybe like this, but like it's not as impressive if you just look at each blend shape at a time. But I
Mm,
could tell that he exaggerated them to so they work well, which I guess is like what I've been learning is like just exaggerate it probably a little more than you would expect, but it works well in the game.
yeah, but it's the way he like whenever he seemed to talk, like the ears are moving, eyes, facial expression. It's like
Yeah.
how does he control all of that, or does it face track?
Oh, and that's like what I was saying, like with the doing the gesture. Oh, I think I was talking to someone else. So in the game, you have seven options of doing face gestures that you're basically hitting a button to like do an expression. And
Yeah, his model is not as complex as yours. Um, it seems fairly simple.
yeah, I think he just did it in a good, smart, appealing way that it's really not a lot there, but it's just very well designed. I guess can say
Yeah, he's
it's
done the mouth expressions fairly well there too.
it's, a, it's very it's very cartoony style. Isn't
Yeah,
there? I think that's what I heard. Like
sort of like a Zootopia way.
yeah. Or probably a little bit more cartoony than that because like you look at these feet, it's like very very skinny ankle and then like very fat round paw
Yeah.
and same with the body. It's like it's this very roundish body, and apparently he did them in pieces because like this is the body FBX and then he has a tail FBX, which I kind of I'd have to bring it
Oh,
into
so
Unity, and I thought I had it in Unity, but uh, apparently I didn't, and I
so is Unity almost like a place where you test them all?
it's how you upload it to VR chat.
Oh, okay.
You
So
you
you
have
haven't
a
done that yet.
you have a SDK, and then yeah, I haven't. I guess like I was very interested on getting this to finally just see what his visings were like, and I guess all this time I was doing it pretty close, or at least
Yeah,
like
when
with
I
my
was
latest stuff.
when I seen the animation on the YouTube thing, I'm going like, wow. It's like whatever he was using to track, it's like it was like, whoa. You know what I mean? It's like it was really well done, and however he did the even if he used like the option with the gestures and all that, it's like wow. It's like he must be pushing buttons and doing all these other things, and it's like it's just like it's like animated on a studio, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, with like his expression, like he has buttons that moves the ears to set key positions,
Hmm.
and then
Now, it would be actually kind of cool if he could actually say, move the ears and do a sort of face tracking. Is there a way, like when you're wearing the goggles, is there anything inside the goggles that actually can track your eyes?
that's actually stuff that Neos VR is that he's setting. He already set up to uh what's the word when you you know of this word that would best describe it and you can't think of it. Uh,
I know they can do eye tracking, but if they can do, if there's something inside, like there's some kind of a,
I think compatible
um,
is what I'm thinking of. Like it's,
yeah,
but yeah, it. So Vive Pro does have eye tracking, and I think what I heard it also can track like your eyebrows, apparent. And
yeah,
and so he,
you can set the ears for the eyebrows.
yeah, and he, so Fruxius is who codes it's been coding VR Neos VR, which is another game than what you're seeing VR chat. Uh,
Hmm.
I think Neos VR is a really good uh creative game. Like it's what you would probably think know of like Second Life put into VR.
Hmm.
Like because you can like script and stuff inside the game and create build things or so on whatever you want inside the game.
At least they don't charge you for
Yeah,
it.
the only thing they're kind of charging right now is just space for your on your like pretty much saving out your stuff or so.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
which they give you like good gigabytes or so, like for a little bit. Uh, like if you do Patreon on them
Hmm.
and so depending if you're like building a whole lot of stuff, then you might need like space.
So the other one, the first one you were showing me there, um, since that's it's is it fully rigged enough that you have pretty much almost the same expressions as what the Shibu does?
Oh, with mine,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you've seen yeah videos of anyone using them, but yeah, it's one of the things that like I'm glad that like people's been commenting about, but how they like how just very expressive my characters are too.
Oh, see, I've only seen Raccoon. That was the only one I've actually seen.
Yeah,
I couldn't find anything else on YouTube with the other ones. I've seen all your other animations, but those are all like hand done, through the animation programs.
yeah.
I didn't see any of the other avatars that
I'm
you
remembering
that.
one in my. I'm gonna look in my history. I remember someone uh it it was like to do with like he was playing around in VR chat asking people on like if you've seen the new Ratchet and Clank's thing. There's like new character reveal of that, and he was the. I will say like once again like with a lot of jokes that like happened in those games that might be a little crude or what they
Yeah,
would call lewd. But I'll link this here.
that's furries for you, I guess.
Yeah. But there's a few of my avatars that he asked the question, and you might see them doing like some of the expression things.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool.
was a high executive. Yeah, he wanted to see the Shibas, so
Hmm? Oh, someone was asking.
someone said just in chat like a little while ago, like "Yay Shibas," cause yeah, this is a avatar that's pretty that's been popular in VR chat with uh with some people.
Yeah, I think it's because of the wide range of expressions. It
Yeah,
makes it look. It just makes it look real.
yeah, and and if you're like very into like the cartoony style, I think I heard some, and probably I'm also as rather have like some real like going too cartoony just kind of seems a little off to me.
Yeah.
Especially when you wear it in VR, it's like you're fitting yourself to a like unproportional kind of body. Or he because
Also, have you ever seen how they run? It's like
yeah
I sort of laugh my head off whenever I see the
yeah
Shivas run. It's like it's
yeah
like
I think he made his own running cycle too, so that's probably
well,
why.
it's comical because uh,
Yeah,
it's almost like a Shiva, like a real dog getting up and just waddling around, you know.
but knowing that because PikeyPetey also has full body and probably like with me on my rigs that he wanted to make like has it fit well for a full body and uh, so despite it having very odd proportions with the hands and body and stuff, at least like on how wide and skinny they are, that it actually fits well to your uh,
Did he
body
also
length.
make it so you can actually change the shape of the body, or is it static?
The, there's probably I seen so there's people that like actually edited it and made it turned it into like a Fox version and stuff by like making their own
Wow, he
blend
doesn't
shape.
have much rigging and bones. It's like there's very simple skeleton in that one.
Yeah, it probably looks more advanced on like with mine because of the kind of rigging tool that. Plus, I'm looking at the FBX. If I think what I was showing with mine. Oh, by the way, these bones like he actually put cheekbones where they can wobble and you can like squish your cheeks.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
It makes the character almost look like he's squishy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives it a little. Yeah, that was different. Also, I think I've seen him take the muzzle and flip it around. It's like, but normally you can't do that because it's supposed to be a solid bone.
Yeah, he put these bones if you wanna like and it doesn't look like I'm somewhat surprised that it's not like the best skin weighting too. You'd
Like
think
I know with yours, you with yours you can make them fatter or skinnier, and um,
but yeah, there
but his looks like there's nothing to change the like to make it skinnier or anything like that.
yeah, there's yeah, for this yeah, I don't see it. There's no like body changing. All the blend shapes is either like doing the face expressions or his visings.
Yeah, he probably locked it for a certain reason, probably.
No, it's because I don't think he ever like when he made it, it didn't bother going into that level.
Hmm.
And uh, with mine, like I'm still like updating it at times and adding more to it. So, but then again, mine I'm selling it for like a lot more money than what you could simply get the assets from this. The supposedly the proper way. I'm sure there's probably people been there might be been some that are like even like with mine I'm sure there's probably like I heard there's a few that's been not really respecting it but sending the assets around for free which is kind of like stealing when person's trying to sell it.
Yeah.
But
Because yeah, it's like you can't really copyright something in something like that unless there's a way to put a DRM on it, and it will sort of like pretty much attach to it by the computer, and it's only be able to use it on that computer.
I don't know if
So
this.
you could probably do it by, let me see. I know there's a way to do it. You know how every Windows machine actually has a serial number. If you go in your Windows 10 or whatever, and you get the information, it'll actually have a serial number of the actual copy of Windows and the computer. You can probably link it to that. And then, so if you actually put it on another computer, and then as soon as you try to upload, it won't upload because it's looking for the number. I ended up doing that to one of my programs. People didn't. People were saying like, "How the heck did you do that?" And you say it only works for one computer. It's like, yeah, because I've locked it to the system. I did that with a music program. That was that one there. Remember, I did way back. Remember when in Second Life, the MIDI program that had all those instruments.
Sorry, I'm trying to respond to someone thinking here at the same time. But
Yeah, the tongue is another funny thing on that.
yeah, there's which
I've seen people, like I've seen people. I don't know. I guess YouTube is a little far behind. You're wiggling the tongue right now.
oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
it's I'm sure like with when you the time you're hearing me talk like that's with like any live stream you always have some delay
Yeah,
and depending on internet you could have like quite a bit of delay of like
but
10 seconds or something.
I've seen Petey. It's like like when he does an effect or an expression, he sticks his tongue out, or if he's pretending to lick something.
Yeah, I put an expression like that too. I don't know if someone does that in the video I shared you, but I got it. I managed to get it so like the tongue stays with like without dynamic, so it's not like flopping through the jaw and stuff.
Yeah,
But once you stick it out, the end of it
and
actually
then
wiggles
then it
around.
turns on. Yeah, it turns on.
Yeah, it
The
turns on its
the
dynamic.
dynamics, and it starts going. Yeah, usually whenever they do that, they stick it out. Then sometimes the physics is not exactly right because, well, again, it's virtual reality or see, like computer animation. If you tell it to be physical, it's going to go everywhere. Um,
It
what kind of
it
I
depends on the
know,
dynamics, but yeah.
yeah, but what kind of physics does VR chat use? Don't tell me it's Havoc.
I really unsure. I don't know, and that's the thing. Like with VR chat, it's not the best VR game, especially at this point where they're being made like even better ones. VR chat just happens to be the first ones and just been very popular.
Yeah,
And like 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 with its dynamics, it's whatever. Like there's a dynamic system in Unity that it's been allowed uh that you buy in Unity store is like a dynamics like Will Hung made or something.
yeah.
But
I know Havoc is it's a good engine, but it has its major flaws.
yeah,
I've seen physics go crazy in that. That's why they call it Havoc.
I don't know what like the only my only guess is it's whatever engine like through Unity or so that runs like on VR chat. Uh,
Like, remember when you were playing Skyrim a long time ago? I've had instances where you drop an axe on the ground and the axe is rolling down the hill. Like, I'm going like, how is that possible? they
yeah,
put a they put not a cylinder but almost like an ellipse around the axe. So when you put it on a flat surface, it just wiggles and rolls around, and then it settles. But if you put it on a hill, since it's inside of an ellipse, it rolls down the hill, and I'm going like, how? Like it just doesn't make sense. You see an axe rolling down the hill, and it's going through the pavement, rocks, and everything. I'm going like, that is just weird.
Let me hop
they
back
should have
to.
put they should have put it in a giant, thin, like a rectangle of some kind. You know what I mean? I hate when they put stuff around an actual object and then that's defined as a physical like boundary. Or the room bug. I actually fixed that actually on mine. Remember that? It's like when you went to your house and you would take something, you had to and then you put it on the table, and then every time you walked out of your room, you walked back in, it was on the floor again.
Yeah.
So I ended up fixing that. I put a little piece of code in there. It adds a spell. You put it on the table, use a spell, boom, lock it. It registers the havoc thing, and it says it's stable. You walk out of the room, it stays there. I do that for all the decorating now. It's like I even have one where I can put piles of items on top of a table automatically. I can put about 5 things in the actual object, and it'll place it either pile it up in a row, like on top of one another, or along the side of a table, and it locks each individual one all the way across.
The same reason when I grab the F, jump into the FBX, it uh, does that, or it pretty much makes the mesh have like no shader and it's invisible.
So that one there, the Fox one, is that the new one you're going to be selling?
This is the one that's been selling.
Oh, that's the one that has been selling.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just doing like an edit, like where I gave it like a foxtail, and because already the face looks very finicky and or like a fennec and uh with big ears where it'd be easy to like turn it into like kind of a fox.
Yeah.
But I wanted to re-grab in here and uh see kind of the rig here. Size up the joint. Not what?
And is the tail really flexible? Like it waves around, or is it static?
Oh, it like I said, it's the dynamics and Unity that you put that on.
So it'd be almost like the one on Second Life when it's flexible, it can be bent around and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You just get like any chain of bones, and you could like put that component on in Unity, and it makes it bendable and has like sort of physics that you set it to.
Same thing with the hair, or the hair is
With all the chains of bones, like with the feathers and all that, I put like little sets of bones to make those all move, like in
oh
clumps.
wow.
Yeah,
Now all they got to do is make a thing like an element in VR chat like wind.
you could probably
Um,
do stuff like that again, like in Neos VR, which these dynamics is much more optimized and better in Neos VR. Not,
know what I did in the other 3D program I have, True Space, to simulate wind,
oh
is
yeah,
make a bunch of they're very tiny spheres. They're really small, and I made them invisible. So you shoot them all over the place to simulate wind. You make everything else physical, and these things are actual physical, but since you can't see them, you can see everything blowing because they're actually blowing through they're hitting objects.
Would that
But
be
then
like
that
kind of high performance to do though?
uh not well not for that because you can't physically see the actual objects being hurled through the actual space. Now, for something like that, maybe like VR chat, I think it would because they're an invisible object, but they're still. I don't know if they would be registered as rendered, being rendered.
Well, it's
That's the
not
thing.
sometimes the rendering, it's just the performance of
Everything
mm,
moving, right?
figuring out the math of everything calculating physics and stuff.
Yeah, I'd actually have to see how the engine handles that.
But I'm saying like in Neos VR, not only the dynamic bones are just more optimized on how he, well, I heard how he coded it. Like
hmm
uh, I I never seen like or heard like exactly how it's coded, and like I want know how to tell by not being a coder, uh, but I heard and kind of seen like being in the game that like it's not that it doesn't seem like it hits that much performance when you have someone with like all these dynamics, uh and then not only that, unlike VR chat, like you in VR chat you have to create these colliders to be able to interact with your dynamics, and in the game it puts it your character even higher performance if you put any
Oh,
amount
I see.
if you
Because
put
now there's all these pieces of code waiting for input of something,
yeah,
right?
it now needs a but in Neos VR by default everyone can interact with each other's dynamics, not just your own.
Hmm.
So it's like, however he did it, like did it just a far better job. And VR chat is just like so limited onto its dynamics, and everyone misses kind of being able to just interact with each other's dynamics, not just setting up their own.
It almost seems like they've taken the way Second Life is done. Remember when they had these things on the characters called listeners, and they would just sit there and they would be pinging every couple of seconds, listening for something to react to it.
I
And you know, like for them, you know, like them pinging all the time. It depends on how many is actually on an actual avatar. There could be like 10 or 20 of them, and you imagine them pinging every couple of seconds. It's like that's a lot of data being thrown around. Uh, and then of course all you have to do is be near them, and then all of a sudden you're lagging too.
yeah, but yeah, it's what I heard. Sad, kind of I guess the sad story of VR chat that it was like a college thing that became suddenly really popular, and fa- and without having a professional coder or so to like get it organized and like built out well,
hmm
it's kind of like it is how it is. And
Yeah, yeah.
from it looks like they are slowly getting it to actually being really good. Like they finally updated to 2018 Unity, and which is still what I heard, an older Unity that doesn't work as well as like the newest Unity games or so, or VR games. Like it's still not
Yeah.
set up for performing very well with VR.
But they'll get there. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's still something new, right?
yeah,
So yeah, it's like I've learned a lot whenever I was on the Second Life. That was sort of the building block of virtual reality in a way because it's like they brought everything to 3D first, right? So it's like but they, you know, like that's why the place was lagging so much. Is because it's all you know, like you get about 20 or 30 people all with these little bits of code on their avatar, always going. It's like, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? And then it's like, and if you have like 30 or so on a character, and then you times that by 20, it's like why am I so slow? You know?
Yeah, it's in VR chat, it's you have everyone like a lot like uh I'm not sure if it's so much with like the VR calculating with each other because like that's probably like a local thing, but uh you have like very high uh unoptimized characters and got 20 of them in a room and start lagging.
Yeah, that's probably because all the little individual bits of code and
Uh,
scripts that are running on the character.
what what the big thing that they did like from getting to 2018 at least, what's really nice, VR chat finally, which Neos VR had way before, which again is why I feel like these newer things that coming that that trying to think of like yeah Neos VR was just a little later than VR chat, but I think he was coding it like probably near the same time. Just was like it's sad with games like Neos VR being very unpopular, not very known, or just not a lot of people on it,
Hmm.
and it's uh, it had what's called like one-to-one tracking, where you see the person by you moving around is exactly moving the same way. In VR chat, it is like it's like the this like the network coding or so. In VR chat, be, before I think they did the Unity 2018, it had like this kind of simplifiedness that it like if someone like swung their arm back and forth really fast, uh
Yeah.
you just saw their arm like just kind of shuffled a little.
Oh, I see. It couldn't track it fast
Yeah,
enough.
it didn't like follow through like exactly. It was like low frame rate to what their tracking was to your end when you see them.
Hmm.
And but they finally now got to that what's called like one-to-one tracking across each person when you so now everyone can dance around and finally see what they actually are dancing around as. And
Yeah, I remember Petey showed the update whenever they did that, and he was doing all these really these things dances and all that. Then
yeah,
he put the thing side by side, and it's like, well, now that's actually fairly smooth, you know?
yeah, that's what they like not too long ago finally updated to. And Neos VR way before that like was had it that way like for a long while. And uh and so it feels like he's like way ahead of the levels of what VR chat is getting on things. And the game itself, you can have inventory and uh create worlds, like just bringing out like inspector windows and do all these edit changes inside the game via uh does depend on who has the what's it called.
Well, I seen it was at VR chat. You can actually, I've seen them open portals up, and then I don't know, they're linked to other worlds on their computer, or is it on a
Oh,
server?
that's just going to another world that's like just pretty much opening up to new next world or which is much interesting and different in Neos VR. uh you can be in several instances at once and then like pop right into each one.
Oh, I see.
It might lag you down a little bit if you're just keeping yourself in those instances. So like I still kind of just close out you at times on other instances if I'm like
So
moving to it.
how is the limit on the actual physical worlds? Is it almost like you can only build so much because it would only handle so
It
many polygons in the entire world?
there's no I'm not too sure on VR chat because I haven't made much world, and they used to had limits on your character, I know, but they taken those out, and they have their like performance system, like what I'm saying, like where if the avatar is like very poor or uh
Hmm.
like if you put more so many dynamics, it puts it up to being like poor or very poor if you put enough of dynamics, and
Oh, I see.
and
They
then
have their own
people,
rating.
yeah, and people in the game can set if it like has them just shown as this robot thing or load what's it called
It looked like a ghost man before you rendered in.
yeah or uh I I I pretty much have it set so like like everyone's gonna be shown like as their avatar because like I my computer's enough that like shouldn't it won't matter too much, but
Is it the type of computer that sits in the base? Like it's the entire size of the basement?
no, it's like a normal desktop size. It's just has like a very good graphics card and stuff. Like a few years ago, like I
So you can literally, I guess,
but
in the one of the worlds, you can actually make an entire city, right?
yeah, and yeah, what I was going to get to so VR chat I'm not too sure of, but like usually like there's probably not a limit. It depends on how optimized can you get that world, and obviously people would complain if you have it really too much and then everyone's just like stuttering slow trying to like get around in the world, and uh
So making a theme park is out of the question.
there I think there is a few worlds, actually there's a few worlds in VR chat that's pretty much like a theme park, but again like it, I there's been some worlds that people are pretty smart on like optimizing it very well that they looks like there's so much in the world, but yet it's not that laggy,
Yeah.
and
I've seen some people who just make it look like their bedroom, but the only thing is that the four walls, they would just, like take a picture of their own room or somebody's room, like four pictures, and then just put it on the four walls of the cube.
yeah.
It's really cheap, but it's like, you know, and then they would just make furniture and just throw it in, and then they poof, there's your room. It's like, well, that's well, it does take it's very low quality, but I guess if they used to use it for chatting, I guess, well, it serves its purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of levels of like world in like VR chat. And in Neos VR, like again, like uh it's probably like again like doesn't have probably so many worlds because there's not a lot playing in the game all the time making the worlds. Not as
Yeah.
popular as VR chat. Even if Neos VR is could be like be more performance. However, like though then again, like I've heard that some like tried like Neos VR and think that it's probably lower performance, but uh, it 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 depends on like if you're like what you have opened or so or
Yeah, it's like it's
it could
best, like, say if like that's the only program you're running on your computer.
yeah well I'm just thinking of like it really man because there is ways in Neos VR that you could like get everyone very laggy if you're having so much script running and out in the world and stuff, and
Hmm.
it maybe VR chat like can handle a little easier with more people because on once again though it depends on the what's being shown on the avatars or what you have set on. There's yeah there's all sorts of like levels of things to get into on like on either one on that it's hard to
Yeah,
say
it's
which one's really better, and
too bad I didn't have a lot of money, or I would have actually started making really cool worlds.
in VR chat.
Yeah, I would have actually went all out. I would actually, well, then, again, I'd be putting on like the realistic textures and
Oh
realistic
yeah.
items and trees that make it look like all these individual type of leaves and stuff. And
Oh yeah. And
I I would probably work out the wind property, and that would actually be kind of interesting to do because I've seen worlds on YouTube where they did a meadow with all the waving grass, but it looked like it was static. It was just going, back and forth on a sequence. But it would be nice to actually make individual not little spheres to move the grass, but maybe like invisible uh, like waves of like a giant ribbon, and just have it blow across the field. It would be large enough so you don't have to do all the little tiny spheres. You can just do like one or two of them, and then just have it go across every once in a while.
I linked the that video game like at a time, but some of the worlds in VR chat like almost looks pretty real, like they get pretty detailed.
Should have seen also what I did with Skyrim. I put in particle clouds. You never see the same pattern ever. Although it takes a performance hit of a little bit, but they're so high up that the performance hit is not really bad. But you look at the like remember when you used to play Skyrim, how the clouds are always the same? On mine now they're entirely different. You never see the same pattern ever, and then the sunsets are just epic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took a while to get that thing going, and then once it was actually going, it was oh, like oh, there was one shot. I don't know. One day I'm gonna have to actually. I have the pictures on my computer, but I should take it with the phone just to show you what they actually look like, and you probably end up freaking out. Some of them look big and puffy, like like those big puffy clouds that you actually see in the like on a nice day. And it just finished snowing in the game, and then all of a sudden that appeared, and I'm going like, oh, cool. And yes, whenever it does rain and stuff like that, um, I added 3 layers of clouds, so you can actually see the wind clouds going faster than the other ones. But it was different. It'd be interesting to try and put something like that in the worlds, but I don't know how the worlds would actually do the clouds if they're are they done like on a big giant sphere, or can you actually do particle clouds? I think the particle clouds would lag out the whole world
On in like in VR chat,
on
if you
on,
try to do
on VR
clouds,
chat. Yeah, it's like if
I,
you if I'd have tried to do particle clouds in VR chat, I think everyone would go to a crawl.
I think I'm remembering a world. I'm not sure if I could ever refine it, but I wonder if I'm remembering if it's like to do with
Because these clouds are very tiny particles that have a little bit of the cloud texture in it, but they're so far up
I think
they
someone
they make the entire cloud. You
I think
know.
someone in Neo's VR was doing something but that would be stuff that like I wouldn't know how to do. So,
Oh, it takes a lot of oh.
but
It took me 6 months to set that up.
I think someone
Um,
did like in a world that you could fly in VR chat. I'm remembering, and I'd have to see that world again. But I I think I remember that there was like felt like clouds that you could go through.
hmm. Well, if you actually go through it, then it's some kind of a particle cloud, unless they put it on an image or something like that. Like Second Life. Uh, I don't know what its clouds was made of. I know there were particle clouds that went up, but the clouds that you actually seen from the ground were actual images. They're fractals. So they actually changed and all that, but they when you got up to them, they disappeared. You know,
Oh yeah. Well,
these are sort of they follow a fractal pattern. That's why they never stay the like the same shape or anything like that. Even you actually even see the sun um, peering through them. Like you actually see the beams coming out. So yeah, it's
oh
like
yeah.
people say it's like
The-
I've never seen that in Skyrim. It's like yeah, because they're particle clouds. Had the sun flare to actually shoot out of it. But yeah, it's like the sun flare things. I actually ported over from True Space. I already had them done a long time ago. So it's like, oh, never tried these in here. So just pop in. Hey, cool, they work. To
well,
port it
that's
from there to Blender, and then convert it to the little map things that Skyrim understands.
well, I think I shown like was there like anything more to show on here? Not to like just kind of like cut off, but I've been wanting to like get on like one more thing before I
Okay.
get to. But plus, it's getting close to where I'm going to have to start being quiet with others sleeping or so, and uh
Yeah, it's almost my time to go to bed soon too.
yeah. But hopefully that this help share on like how these things were like been rigged and uh pretty much like they're rigged as like gaming. Like if I was rigging this like for animation, I would like put a bone right here, obviously, to bend his ankle,
Hmm.
and he's even missing like twist joints because in with the IK rig, it doesn't even twist your wrists. Which what it does, it like kind of twists it like this, but best you can get on with like bending your arms and stuff is you could just only try so far of like skin weighting, and that's about as best as you can do because again it is a game that it can't like have that many performing controls going on,
Yeah.
or they try to like it just it's just like how the game's set up really for those things. But
Have they ever made a world that actually had a high texture rate like the way Skyrim did, or not yet?
well, like I was saying, I think I've seen like some world in VR chat that like looks very pretty and like almost realistic.
Yeah.
So it depends on who made it and like how smart they were to like put it optimized and whatnot. Like I seen a Pandora world in VR chat that like feels just like like the that Avatar movie
Who is this? It says, tell your amigo I said hi.
on chat.
Oh, it's one of the chats that just popped up on the
Yeah.
screen.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just now going to be ending, but yeah, we've just been talking here, showing a little bit of the rigging and showing PikeyPetey's Shiba rig. But but yeah,
Yeah,
like
like I said, if I had a machine that could actually handle this thing, I would have actually made a wicked world.
yeah,
Oh yeah, it's like it would have taken me a little while, depending. I actually have to think of a theme, but it would have been realistic. Then
nice.
again, like I take high res pictures with the camera, so when I just take the macro photos, I can get way in there with the textures. It's like say I can just go to a dirt road. I'd hit the macro thing. I would have to actually make the texture repeat, and you can't see the seam, right? So I would actually edit it on my Mac, and then after that, pass it over to something else. That's why whenever I did the furniture in Sky or Second Life, they were so high res because I did it on the Mac. All
Nice.
the editing was done on the Mac.
Nice.
It has its times, and then of course like it's a good thing that my Mac was time before the Mac starts sucking.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And
at
what I was
least
gonna. Okay.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna mention about like with the Pandora world that uh it is one of those worlds that probably just because it what it took to make how pretty it was uh is one of those worlds that can get kind of slow when you get any amount of people in it.
Yeah,
But
I still think it's the code that's on the people that's slowing it down.
yeah, maybe. Then again, I don't. I'm not even sure if you can like look at the code of VR chat uh and I wouldn't know how to like what to do about it either. Like,
Well, it depends what they have on it. It's like, say if people like whacking each other with frying pans and stuff like that, there's a listener for that. So it actually has to listen to the physical code, because
well,
it comes in contact with the actual listener, and then there's a another one in the pan. So therefore, the codes get in contact, and it triggers an animation, and then the animation goes through.
with that would then depend on like how the world is set up because like those all those scripting type of things would be what's in the world and it
Oh yeah, okay. So now the world's broadcasting something
yeah it
too.
depends on what they probably scripted it. From what I heard, actually, again, like which this is like I remember PikeyPetey telling me this because there's a few times I talked to him in that game. Like I met him in the game and talked to him, which
Hmm.
I will say like if you wear a VR set and go in there, it feels like you're like standing by a person talking to them in
Yeah.
a completely digital uh their own basically it feels like you're talking to an animal person because
And it's all 3D too.
yeah so that's how immersive that why it's like so amazing for someone to like suddenly get in VR and uh like Lit from Second Life, Lit the dragon.
Oh, that's going way back.
yeah
Was
I
I there?
I think
I don't.
if you remember he was like a green dragon like if uh and he just today he finally got VR and we were in VR chat together and uh it was interesting hearing like how he was like kind of amazed with it.
Hmm. But yeah, it's like oh,
Oh, what do
I
you mean
lost
by
my.
buy a 3D avatar from scratch, Oreos? Are you are you meaning like commissioning to make from scratch? Because yeah, if someone commissioned me to make from scratch, I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind
you'd
doing
actually
it.
have to. It's like modeling a piece of clay again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
I would say I wouldn't mind doing it. It's just I'd probably charge more because it's you're making me spend more time having to start from the beginning.
that's why I say a lot of people, whenever they make something from scratch, they just do body parts, and then they just put everything together,
Yeah,
and then they just make it an entire one mesh.
yeah. I usually like I pretty much go to like a version before I smooth out the mesh like this. Uh,
Mm.
like I have models that are I pretty much go to just
I remember an old. Oh, it was used by a bunch of studios in the past. It was a little pen, and you can actually put you can actually physically. Well, you draw, like say your hand, right? But it draws it in 3D in the actual 3D program. It would actually go along your hand and it would actually map it in the 3D program. So instead of actually making a hand from scratch, you can actually trace out your real hand. I've seen it used in a few studios just to cut down on time and making these meshes.
Yeah, like that's pretty much what I do already. Like I was saying before, I so so like with this guy, this is like the lower res of the Rexiomes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I wanted to make something that was like similar body shape and stuff, or uh grab this and modify like I could probably take off all the fur fluff if I wanted to make him more smoother, not have like these poking out fur. What I did to the Rexians is like I selected around the mesh uh, that are around all the fluff because I wanted to try to keep the sharp, just poking style of because the plan was to put the toon shaders on, but I think I found later I probably should have just it would have been like adding more vertices. Like it was in a way like me trying to uh low down on this Polygons, but
Yeah.
but uh so like after I shape the character, I just do this one button, smooth it, and then now it's a little smoother and it's like closer to the poly count that I get in VR chat. Like it's like I've been going like over 60,000 and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Which
it's enough for that, you know. It's like,
I've seen pretty good ones though. Like maybe it's cause like they don't have this detailed of teeth and other stuff, but like some
actually, was it
30.
his Shiba there actually had more detailed teeth, but then again, it's like it was a low detail body.
Yeah, yeah, and I think his is like probably less polygons in mine, and
I think what made his is mostly the textures. I think
yeah, probably
because
like
I've seen the camera zoom up on them, and you can actually see the fur texture. It would look like it was bump mapped as well.
I probably do like I smooth out like I like to smooth out like that, cause when you have more vertices to work with, like it helps on doing your bending of the joints or the skin weighting, because then
Oreo said that he's pursuing 2D animation. I was in 2D animation. Remember I told you a while back, Raccoon, that I worked at the studio that made the show, The Raccoons. That's when animation was actually good. It wasn't done on a computer. We had to do it all by hand.
yeah.
You know, 3D animation is it's unique. I prefer I think the 3D animation to a lot of the 2D animation done today because everything's done on Toon Boom. Oh, that is I don't know. I call that uh
Yeah, and
I I call Toon Boom the lazy animator's way of animating stuff.
yeah, like what Oreo's saying, with animation, yeah, it's the art of movement. Like you don't need to worry of either being like 2D or 3D. That's just like a style thing. And
Yeah.
I I'm used to 3D because I'm uh I know how to, even though it takes longer to construct the whole character, but once the character's made, your character is very consistent moving around.
Yeah.
Or like the look of the character. My trouble, if I, for one, like I am I haven't been drawing for so long now. Like I'm like be out of practice drawing, and uh,
I remember
yeah,
when I showed you. I forget it was something on Second Life, but then you tried something to do something in 2D that one time. Oh,
I
that was some
can't
time ago.
remember that.
That was yeah, that was back in 2010 or something. Um, I forget. I showed you how to do like draw just by hand, and I think you did about what a 10-second little clip or something like that.
I think that
I think it was one of your raccoons running or something like that. I forget what it was.
I did a 2D animation of my uh mouse walking.
Okay, that's probably what it was.
I did like
Um,
I tried like two animations of like drawing on paper or so, and then that's about as much as I did of 2D animation.
yeah, it is difficult.
Yeah, I
And just think it's like whenever I was over at the studio, like every show we did had over 71,000 drawings in a 21-minute episode. So just imagine drawing that same character over and over and over.
yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to draw even like more detail, so like even take longer, and so
Yeah, I haven't quite tried 3D animation to like the level of a lot of people yet, but it's like I was still used to that. But like 3D animators today, it's like, oh, you have to have a big what do you call it, a degree and then all this kind of stuff to get things and all that. It's like they're a dime a dozen, and it's like there's another thing to compete for.
it's as far as like I know on it's was it uh just find like a whatever program that can get used to a 3D program, and hopefully has like good graph tools or like all the animation tools that you need for keying, and
Hmm.
it's all to about just like pu- puppeting a 3D character in position. Like you're pretty much moving a character that can float any position you put it to, and you're just
Yeah.
putting it in positions and frames and figuring out all the probably like as the level as you know on like 2D, but you're on where you're drawing the character, but you're instead of drawing, you're just posing him in a 3D camera.
See in my old 3D program, I can actually make the tools in it. So that's the cool thing. Well, then again, I purchased the program way back then. Back then, that I think that program was like $600 or something.
Oh,
Um,
which program?
it's called True Space.
Oh,
I think I have True Space 2 and 3 at that time. But you can actually make your own material tools and everything. And so it's like it had almost no limits. And then you share the tools with other people as well as if you want them. Um, it like that's why I made like the fur graph and everything like that. And then or the meadow with the wind blowing through it and stuff like that. Um, but then you can share that with other people, and if they have true space, they can you just give it to them. You put it in your tools section, and that's it.
mm,
But with the things today, I don't know if in Blender if you can make your own tools. I've never really looked into that. I should actually fire it up on
I
the Mac and see if we can.
I I'm pretty sure you can. Like I'm pretty sure it's just like Maya. Like I know there's like scripting things or so you can do in Blender. So
Yeah, if I can actually export like stuff from Blender to Skyrim and stuff like that. But then again, that was Python that did most of that. Um, that's the problem. It's like if you have to know a little bit of code in order to make the tool to like that was just a tool to export and import.
well, I have like certain plugins that like they pretty much make the whole menu
Yeah.
like I say with this advanced skeleton on how I generate my rigs by moving just some bones with like some labels, and it generates the whole controls that I would want for animating.
Mm.
Uh, but and I'm pretty sure like I can't. There's not much I can say like from not like going to that in depth in Blender, but I'm very certain that that there's people made well like Cat's plugin that I use to port things to to be set up for VR chat uh, is a whole scripting thing with buttons to like fix the rig for that. So yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's scripting things that you can do in Blender.
Yeah, I just have to really take a look because I really never looked at the full functionality of Blender. I've actually seen people make some really nice animations out of it. Um,
You
just
know,
like the one with there was a bunny animation where they actually did a long time ago. That was quite interesting. They did, like they did a very simple, somewhat detailed cartoon out of it. But I'm pretty sure the new Blender. I'd have to actually look on YouTube to see if there's anything up to date to see what the new Blenders can do. But right now, I'll have to let you go because it's getting late here.
yeah, it's we've been planning on doing. We could like
Yeah.
talk all night if we want, but yeah,
Well, we can also pick another day, like and talk more or whatever whenever you're not busy.
maybe yeah, tough thing is it's like can be hard like choosing on like what to put your time on either
Yeah.
because then there's like always be friends in like VR chat to talk with or
Yeah.
like when I wanted to show someone in Neos VR uh so it's, we'll see
Yep.
just not
Usually whenever you're free.
yeah.
Okay then.
And I
So I'll let you go for now.
yeah,
Okay, let me see. I just gotta shut stuff down here.
take care everyone
Don't.
also in the stream pretty much was
Yeah,
just
don't want.
streaming on YouTube just so you can see the stuff.
Don't want to shut down the wrong thing, and I also don't want the phone to melt down too.
Let me
Okay. All right, I'll keep this open because I'll have to check this out. Okay, so I'll talk to you later then.
yeah, change the tile. That's what is tile that I was talking with you already in yeah, so where my chat go? So take care of anyone's yeah, in here still. Um, well, you obviously get in VR chat. Like there's free avatars right away when you get in VR chat, and I'm not sure what the avatar they suddenly have you wear if you get in first time, but yeah, you definitely don't need that avatar to play it to enter VR chat. Plus, you don't need VR itself. You could just get it on desktop mode. It's free on Steam. Uh, if that's what you're asking. But yeah, I was wanting to end and get to something else here. Feel like so much busyness. Bye bye.